What is up, everybody, and welcome into Season 3, Episode 5 of The Mandalorian. This one was titled The Pirate, and I am brought to you with Kurt. As always, we're going to be breaking it down for you. We really enjoyed this episode. So, Kurt, why don't you get us started off? How did you like this episode?
This was probably my favorite episode out of the whole series so far.
Yeah,
I thought the direction was great with just the fighting and I don't know, it seemed a little bit more dark when it came to the fighting. I liked it.
yeah,
I liked the point blank gunshots from the Mandalorians, and I don't know, the Gorian Shard. Just seeing that in action was awesome.
yeah.
Like his cruisers, his Cumulus class cruiser.
Yeah,
I
I know everybody wants like action, 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 but I think at the same time, I have personally enjoyed that they've really have like broken it down and they're
Yeah.
doing world building. Like they're really building up where the Mandalorian came from. They're really building up their characters. They're building up Bo. Like they're building up all these important places and people to, carry this on for seasons to come. So I've really enjoyed the world building that they've done so far this season.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It feels like Nevarro feels great. Like I feel like you can go there and like hang out or something. I don't know
Yeah,
them, welcoming the Mandalorians to that planet because they saved it or whatnot.
yeah,
The whole environment feels cool just to watch it, and then now it's unfolding where it's being attacked, and like, oh no, save it because
yeah,
you're so tied to it now. You know.
yeah. I really enjoyed the action scenes in this one as well. As always, we've been getting great like ship battles and stuff like that throughout this season. But even like you were saying, when the Mandalorians flew down, everything was like so compact, and they just looked like an elite force
Oh,
taking on the pirates. It was awesome.
it was like a well-oiled machine. It's like you couldn't do this with stormtroopers. You couldn't do this with clone
No,
troopers. You could do special forces. Like it's like the cream of the crop. It's the top of the tippy top of it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Of just
yeah. And
fighters.
it was awesome to see Paz use his gun as well.
Oh yeah,
For once, that thing was a beast.
yeah.
He came out of nowhere and flew down. Um, but what would you say you'd grade this one so far this season out of 10, and then just where it kind of ranks up compared
Out
to the
of
other ones?
10 for this season, I would say a 9 on
Yeah,
the scale of the fighting and the characters that they are introducing and actually reintroducing.
yeah,
The multitude of things going on inside of like the alliances and the new republic having its problems. They're really building. I feel like building up to a bigger problem, and I
yeah,
think the fans they're liking it. Now I know there's a lot of criticism, maybe even with this episode, but other ones that people are having problems with, especially storyline wise, like they're not liking it. But I
yeah.
don't know. I think it's going well.
I'm with you as well. This will actually probably be my first 9. I love this episode as well. I know it took a while to get here, and I know it took 4 episodes, and we only have 3 more.
Yeah,
But I think we're finally gonna get to, well, we are, because we're halfway through the season.
yeah,
I think we finally have an episode where everything from the first couple episodes kind of pays off. Now, do you kind of wish that a couple of those, like maybe episode 1 and 2, were all in one, and you just kind of had more lengthy episodes so we could get more content for the season? Of course, because you always want some
sure.
more. You always want more Mandalorian if you could get it. But I think I definitely have it as a 9 as well. Just between the action scenes and finally having some payoffs with things going on with like the pirates from like the
Yeah.
first and second episode, uh, and it leading to where we'll talk about later. It seems like it's all going in the right direction. So
Oh yeah,
I am with you on that. That is a 9 from both of us there.
definitely.
So we will start to break down this episode now. So to start off, we open up with a shot of Grief Karga back on Nevarro.
Yeah.
They're kind of talking logistical stuff, just of where they want to put things.
Yep.
Uh,
Being real
Again, you have the
magistrate,
awesome
like
shots. Yeah. And do we know what kind of robot that is too, or is that just like a
I
or
don't know
droid,
if they
or is it?
released that robot. I'm sure there is technical terms for it. I'm not certain what it is, but
Yeah,
I really do like the design of these robots though. I mean, they're
yeah,
very like steampunk meets like futuristic or Orwellian look.
yeah, yeah. And they're all unique, even in that 58-minute episode that we got.
Yeah.
The ones that were on the train,
The
like they
ticket
were
droids,
unique and
yeah.
looked awesome. It was something you haven't seen in anything Star Wars either. So
Yeah.
their droid design and their set designs have been pretty great so far.
Yep.
But what do we have? So Grief Karga is, just they're doing their normal things, trying to figure out stuff for the town, and they get visited by the pirate.
Yep.
And this was the same pirate from episode 2, and pretty much is coming back because they ended up killing some of his guys, and he still holds that grudge. At the same time, I think they're attacking because he knows, like the pirates know that's like a profitable city now, so it's going to kind of be a hot spot for them to want to hit as well.
That's also like it's kind of interesting to think that, is Grief Karga's character, is there some ulterior motive? Is he a good guy? Has
he actually changed?
Yeah. Is he leading up to being the bad guy? Is he, what I mean? It's so hard to figure it out. Like, is he using the Mandalorian so they can get rid of a problem that he started because of his dealings? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see who let Moff Gideon out. Obviously, Mandalorians must have been used, but it's going to be interesting to see if Grief Karga actually maintains loyalty. If he's loyal and he's a good guy. Because he feels like a good guy. He feels like, I'm on his side.
You want to be cheering for him.
Yeah. And I hope that they don't turn that around and make him a bad guy.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I don't think they will, but you really never know. That could be a twist that they throw in there.
Yeah.
But pretty much the pirate says, I'm going to end up invading you. And he goes, pretty much says, hey, I have protection. But obviously he doesn't, so he's bluffing. And I believe he just starts firing on the city pretty much.
Yep.
There was a cool beat shot of, where did we go after that one? What was the beat shot of? Was that just like is that where just, I guess, the X-Wings hang out, or?
Oh yeah. So that's where basically the rebellion, like they have the Y-Wing come in, right? And they're going to, I don't know what planet that is. Planet's awesome. It's tropical, like it's very like it's almost like Vietnam, like, right?
Yeah.
It has that we feel where this is what's happening in the off time of the war being gone. You know what I mean? And they pan into them playing space pool and drinking and having a good time. I mean, even I don't know if you noticed, they had, even at the bar, they had a ton of stormtrooper helmets, and they had like Imperial like seeker droids and probe droids. They're like the heads of them like just adorned on the top of the bar, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Top Gun bar too.
Yeah,
it had like a Star Wars Top Gun kind of vibe to it.
Yeah,
with how it was set up.
Yep.
So who were the two people that we end up seeing in that scene?
So that's the rebel commander that he basically he's the one looking for. Well, he was the one looking for the Gorian Shard or Moff Gideon. I don't know. It was probably both because he knows something was up with that. But I think he's sitting there talking to the barkeep, right? And he's asking to see if he can have them read. They want to read this, incoming message. He wanted to use his holo transmitter for it.
Yeah, I know Karga ends up sending a message to him to kind of say, hey, I really need your help. Like, we're in danger. We're going to get slaughtered out here if you guys don't send anybody.
Yeah.
And then we kind of have the shot of him and Zeb from Rebels, which was awesome. He looked incredible live action too. It's so cool seeing like all these people from the animated series go into the live action role.
Yeah.
Because usually animated series are like side things. They don't really involve them in like the main storyline.
Right.
But the fact they're actually doing that, and now we have more things that we probably will see Ezra eventually.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's been cool how they've been intertwining all that.
Yeah, seeing Zeb was cool when they brought him in. I was like, that's obviously Dave Filoni, right? I mean, this is his episode, and it was just so cool to see that crossover.
Just a little snapshot too. You didn't get too much of him.
Yep.
He kind of was just in there for a few seconds, a few lines, but I definitely think we'll be seeing him more as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So he ends up getting the message that they need help, and he pretty much goes to ask his hierarchy to see if they could help.
Yep.
And then we end up getting, he ends up walking into the building, goes into his boss's office, who was a notable face as well.
Sure.
We were saying he was from Grown Ups, and what else was he
Yeah,
from?
he's from the Disney Channel, the Even Stevens movie.
Even
and
Steven.
all
Yeah. Yeah, so he's a guy you definitely have seen around.
He's quirky.
So he has a little cameo in here too. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's funny.
Yeah.
But he's not someone you'd really think that would be like
But
running the
his
show
roles,
from a character.
like his roles, he could play like a jerk, right? Or he could play
Yeah.
like a pompous kind of role, which is, I think it was perfect the way he acted.
Yeah, yeah. And of course we have our favorite lady from the longer episode as well. I think it was episode 3 or 4. She's there, of course. I didn't know they were all. Is that Coruscant that they're on then?
They're
Why is she
they're
there?
back to Coruscant, where the New Republic is stationed.
Okay, so he flew from like that island area to pretty much go to Coruscant to get like permission to be able to go help and send forces.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Because she, of course, gets involved, and she ends up trying to, talk out of sending help, saying, "Hey, whoa, they have to, fend for themselves, and they have to learn the hard way." So they kind of have a debate on if they should actually send help. Which, unfortunately, of course, they do not. So we have the pilot go over, and he ends up going to where the Mandalorians are at, because he knows they have been friends in the past and have helped in the past, and he pretty much goes and tries to recruit them to help.
Yeah, and a good takeaway too, though, with that whole interaction, you can tell that people are placed in certain places in order to usurp what's happening with the rebellion being, kind of slowed down, and then the New Republic taking over, which is going to give rise to something. It's going to give rise probably to that First Order, but I think it was great to note like that slimy double agent feeling that you get when you're watching it, because she's just trying to make sure to steer it in the right direction. Don't send forces.
Yep. And he even called out that she sounds very imperial as well.
Yep. I mean, he basically did. He saw the badge and he goes, well, he kind of completely just called her right out there, and she, she deflected it with a little bit of dysfunctional. Well, that was
not anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So he, which the other payoff too is obviously we have the pirates in this episode from the first 2 episodes, and then we have the double agent who was in the episode after that. So they are bringing in these pieces from the longer content that they were in earlier in the season, and kind of bringing them all to a head here. So again, I really think this is going to be where the season after this episode is just nonstop and takes off for the last 3 episodes.
Right.
But pretty much have the X-Fighter go to Mando and ask for help, and pretty much they go, "How did you find us?" And of course, R5 was the one that helped them locate where they were at, which is an awesome throw from episode 1, where he ended up getting them and bringing them back, and he's had them the whole time, and now he's being used for this. So It's just kind of those little things that get thrown in there throughout the season that are having payoffs now.
Definitely.
So pretty much ask for help. They pretty much say, like, why should we help, that kind of thing. And then Mando has a soft spot for him, of course, because he's helped him in the past. So he goes in and talks to everybody and tries to rally them up, and tries to get everybody to agree to go and help this fight that isn't actually their fight.
Right.
And what ends up being the selling point is like the plot of land that they potentially could get.
Right. They don't have to hide in the shadows. I mean, they are going to probably have to face this Imperial force. But I think that's going to build up a little bit longer before we see anything with that, and the reveal of Moff Gideon again.
Yeah. And this is kind of the point where, from the last episode, same thing, we kind of get a payoff that, Paz is happy they helped save, even though everybody else wanted to give up, they helped save his son. So you're getting a payoff from that as well, that's that he is willing to fight for them as well. So they really feel like they're united as one now.
Right.
Which is nice to see. But they end up pretty much saying, yeah, let's go help. We'll be able to take the land, because they have to now move because their spot has been scene, even though he said he wouldn't give it up. I was like, really, you guys have to still move? But they're getting eaten there anyway by a bunch of animals, so it's probably a good idea for them to move.
Right.
uh, do you have anything else for any of those sections in there?
Yeah, I mean,
Or any thoughts on any of that?
I think it's we were thinking they're gonna take Mandalore, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, this is just the beginning. Like this is like kind of to have a rebirth again. You know what I mean? They're gonna reset everything. Obviously, you see it
Yeah.
at the end of this episode, but I think it's cool that they are making that move. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
gonna move into somewhere where they can have their own civilization again.
Yeah. Do you think there's any reason they're not going back to Mandalore now, or maybe they still just don't see it as safe, even though
Well,
like they know it's safe to go down? Or
yeah, I think what they're gonna do is they're probably gonna build up the storyline of basically Bo-Katan and Din Djarin and what happened with Grief or Moff Gideon, and they're gonna kind of show that to see what's going on before they actually use either Bo-Katan or whatever to reunite everybody to take Mandalore again, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how that progresses, but I think throughout it though, I think they're kind of just trying to build it up because, like John Favreau said, he wants to have this for a long time. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's going to end up they're going to end up progressing through probably a bunch of story arcs, and I think eventually getting back to Mandalore would be ideal.
yeah,
You know, but how is it going to happen? And you know, is there going to be some kind of split? Is there going to be some kind of caveat to it?
yeah. I really like the idea that you said maybe and we'll talk about it at the end, but maybe that she was actually one of the ones that helped break them out, because
Right.
that would be definitely a divide that would break everybody up, because everybody seems super united right now, which is awesome. But we end up having pretty much the next scene is we just have the pirates. We have it was kind of weird. There was only like 11 town people there that all ran out. It didn't seem like there were a ton of survivors
I guess
at
a
the
lot
start.
that they shelter in place. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully. But you have the pirates pretty much destroying the whole town,
Yeah,
and then you pretty much have them, like the Mandalorians, fly in, and this is where we got just a bunch of badass scenes. You
just
have them
absolute
drop out in units.
smooth flying by Din Djarin, by the way.
Yep. He's kind of the distraction for all of them.
Yep.
And again, you have like a clear cut plan that they actually follow and execute, and works out really well, which usually you don't get too many times in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see them in like a full group action. You weren't like saving a kid or doing anything like that. They actually like had a mission that they went on this time.
Right.
But even like the drop scene out of the sky was awesome.
This is my
How
favorite
they
scene.
like how they dropped, and even just the continuation of that, they dropped down and then just immediately were just taking people out.
I mean, that was my favorite scene, and I think the best part of that scene was when the Mandalorian fell on the guy's back,
Yeah.
coming down, ascending, dropping on the back. The Anzellan's watching and just executes him back of the head. Boom.
Yeah,
With the pistol.
yeah,
Awesome.
that was great. It was also cool seeing again more of the like the world building stuff. We have those monkeys in the tree, and they're actually like shooting them out. So you have the amazing shot in episode 1
Yeah.
of like everything going great there. You have the monkeys in that tree, and then they showed the same shot of the monkeys in the tree, but this time pirates are like firing at them.
Yep.
So it kind of comes full circle to seeing like the current state of what it's like with the pirates taking over.
Yep.
But then you get some awesome scenes of Mando and the Gauntlet flying around as well. Again, you see those two working together, like those two together in the sky, just like in previous episodes, is just an awesome scene as well. They filmed those really good.
that N1 is just watching it. It's so fast that the pirate
awesome.
ships cannot keep up with it.
They can't even turn the guns in time to be able to get ahead of it.
It's so quick. It's awesome how like fast they made that thing. And then obviously you have the gauntlet.
Yeah, and I did enjoy the fact that the like the pirates, they weren't the smartest bunch. Like in typical pirate fashion, they were kind of like easily rused. They really didn't have too much strategy, and they were kind of just winging it.
Right.
So even though it happened a little bit slower, methodically, you did have them easily take over. And then one of my favorite parts is, in typical fashion, if you watch any of the animated series with the pirates, he ends up at the end realizing, the one in the ship ends up realizing that they lost,
Yep.
and is like, well, best of luck to you. It was nice working for you,
Big
and just takes
baby.
off. They always do that.
Don't you
There's
just want?
always one of them that gets away like that.
Don't you want that guy on your team though? Come on. Like,
Seriously.
come on.
But they end up taking care of business there. We end up getting a shot of them like uniting by the ship, and then Paz comes over and says that the armor wants to talk to Bo as well. So Bo goes down and kind of talks to the armor. What'd you kind of think of this scene?
So, I thought it was interesting how obviously they all were welcome to Nevarro, and then this is what's interesting to me is why she's obviously not part of this creed, but she wants to unite all the Mandalorians, right? So she
Yeah.
allows her to do both sides, where she can take her helmet off and wear her helmet. I don't know. It's like a kind of a red flag to me why the armor
Yeah.
would allow that, since she, was redeemed. And
Yeah.
it's, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Is the armor desperate to have Mandalore back and to start rebuilding and creating a new city? But it's just, it doesn't make sense that she would allow her to take the helmet off, because she's allowed to travel to both sides. She just upending a rule in their religion at that moment, you know what I mean? Or in their tribe at that moment,
Good point.
to just do that.
It's a good point. Because we had Din go through this whole, just for having him do it, and he like actually was upset that he ended up doing it. We had him go through this whole thing where he had to go to the waters and everything. And now you're right. She pretty much just walks in there and is like, hey, you know what? Take off that helmet.
Yeah,
I
like
think
no
we're
problem.
yeah. Now, did she see something? Like, did she see her as, like, since it was executed so well, and she has been such a great like leader, that she sees her as being the leader, so she thinks that she would be allowed to do that?
Yeah, is the
Um,
leader allowed to show their face? Is there a rule to that? Because I mean, I'm guessing she's making her the leader at that point, right? She's kind of
yeah,
saying that, like, you're going to unite us.
yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
that's I don't know.
very interesting to me that they did that. And it's
Yeah,
obviously done in private, right? So nobody else knows that. And then they come out and you're like, wait, everybody's like, wait, her helmet's off.
yeah,
What is going
yeah.
on?
Maybe that was just to like get everybody else on board. Like the armor had to be with her with the helmet off to say, hey, like I'm allowing this kind of thing. Um, But yeah, that is, she even like hit her face too when after she was talking about it, she kind of like hit her face with the hair, and
Yeah.
then she got reaffirmed by the armor that no, it's okay. Like we're okay with this. That then she stuck with it. So yeah, hopefully that part does paying off. Like hopefully she doesn't resort back to how she was before, because she
Right.
really seemed bought in. Like at that point, she seemed like she was fully bought in with what they were doing.
I'm kind of thinking, is the armor doing this to unite all the other Mandalorians? Because I know, like the Night Owls, like all those other women that are in that, that branch of
Yeah,
Mandalorians. How many Mandalorians are they going to get that they're going to unite? You know what I mean? I don't.
yeah.
How many
Which
are
is that'd be
left?
cool to see too. Just like even more Mandalorians somehow.
Right. Like obviously this is like the Death Watch, you know, offshoot. But what other Mandalorians are out there? I mean, obviously you have Boba Fett, but like
Yeah, I
what?
mean that's one.
Where else? Like other than the Night Owls, like they got to introduce more Mandalorians. Is that why maybe they're going to introduce, because of the next scene that we're going to talk about? Are there
Yeah,
Mandalorians that are like bounty hunters that are running around grabbing Imperials just because they want to make
yeah,
a few bucks, or they were promised Beskar or something? You know, what I mean, I don't know. I don't know where they're going with that.
yeah. No, that's a good point. And the armor does end up saying here, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, you have to be the one to walk both worlds. Uh, you have to be the one to walk both worlds so you could unite us. So maybe the armor has had a change of heart now. Um, but that is a good point, because she hasn't so far in all 3 seasons. So what has changed in this episode that she's like okay to do it now?
Yeah, and I think Cara Dune, I think that was another thing too, like because that's where we're getting into Moff Gideon. Like then she
Yeah.
completely just make all that up. Then if
Yeah.
like when she was saying he's got off the trial or whatever, and like thinking back to it, who was the one that blew them out? If that was the Mandalorian shard in there, like the Beskar shard, I
Yeah.
still don't like. It's kind of I want to know more. Obviously, we're going to find out, but
Yeah.
it's kind of bothering me that there's no clear. There's
Yeah,
nothing
that's kind
clear.
of what they want to do. A little carrot in front of the carriage there.
Yeah, right.
The other main thing on this one is obviously he did hold up the end of his bargain, and they did offer them land. So they kind of have a new base now. They have a new home to at least plant their feet in for now. As I'm sure we're gonna have Bo-Katan go out, probably with Din as well, and they're probably gonna go try to, like you were talking about, try to recruit more. But it'll be interesting to see how that next. How the next part of this episode plays into it as well.
Right.
Last thing on one section that I did miss was what'd you think of the armor scene? I wish this was my one big thing. I wish Disney was allowed to be graphic and violent and
Yeah.
bloody because the armor had a great scene where they were getting pinned down from the top and she ended up sneaking up in there and taking them out with their hammer.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that could have been such a badass scene, but
Oh, I
just
know.
the fact like she grabbed them with pinchers and pulled them back.
I
Like
know.
that could have been such a gory like
Oh, I know.
assassination part of the video.
I know.
That could have been so cool, like HBO or something.
Right. And I think that's like because they want to promote it to children too. But
Yeah, Disney.
I don't know. I feel like me as a kid, like lightsabers. I used to see the aren't like Luke's hand get cut off, and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, what the heck?
Yeah.
So like, I do agree with you. I think it should have probably had. There should be a little bit more like caving their head in, or you see like splatter.
That
or
could have been
something.
such a great scene because
Yeah.
she took out so many of them, and I was waiting for just these like aggressive blows, but it ended up seeming like she was just hitting them with a pillow, and they were just falling over. And
Pinched
he
him with a
grabbed the one with a
fucking- yeah.
pincher and threw it back. I was like, "What is this? Let's see something get cut in half."
Yeah,
That
let
would
me
have been
pinch you with
fantastic.
Beskar clips.
Yeah, what is that? That's gonna knock him out. Is that
Yeah,
what,
like
is
if
that
you
what
had
I'm supposed
grabbed
to
me with
believe?
that, I'd been like, what? Like just turned around.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. But that I did enjoy that scene, but I thought that had way more potential if they would have paid that off. But it's Disney, so it's kind of what we're stuck with.
Yeah.
But that's all for that scene. And then what was the ending scene? We had the Ranger saw the broken ship.
Yeah, we have a Lambda shuttle that was obviously carrying Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
And he calls in asking for updates, but I guess the files are classified, which then again, it just shows that New Republic's got some bad seeds in there, right? And
Yeah.
then at the end, as the little, which I thought that was cool, the little it was R7.
Yeah. Yeah.
His like little telescopic lens was like a little drone that went into space. I thought that was a really cool touch to show that they are capable of doing that. And he scans the ship, and obviously you see the dead New Republic soldiers, and then you see him scan it, and he's shocked because it's a Beskar. And obviously he knows what Beskar is, but the question is, who did it? You know, and that's what they leave you with. And I think that was a great way to end it because now you're just jonesing.
Yeah. So what they have done a very good job at leaving little cliffhangers at the end.
Yeah.
So how do you think this one opens up? I hope I know I'm kind of hoping Moff Gideon, I know he had he was saying it before the season that he did have a lot of parts in the season. So I'm hoping we open up next with the scene of like where he's at.
Yeah.
So we just had this one close where it's like, we know he got out, but where is he? I'm really hoping that they open up with a shot of him wherever he's at now. But where would you have to, if you had to guess, where do you think he's either hiding out or who do you think broke him out?
I mean, they're going to have to show both, right? I mean,
yeah.
This next episode, that's probably a good bet that they would just immediately show Moff Gideon's ship, show him who he's talking to. There's obviously got to be somebody that, was his caretaker, right? Is it the other Night Owls? It's obviously Mandalorian, but it could also be, I don't know.
Planted.
It could be planted, right? Like I guess it's just speculation at that point.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see because I mean, there's so many plants everywhere. You have R5, it's a freaking plant giving away,
Yep.
you know, their location.
Yeah.
You have the New Republic with Imperial seeds in there, these double agents in there, and obviously
She's
Gideon got
definitely the
out.
one that she's definitely the one that like made him classified. She's the one doing all that
Yeah, she's
sketchy
doing
stuff behind the scenes, I
100%,
think.
100%. Because what she wiped the doctor's mind because
Yep.
I don't. It's not just to gain ranks or whatever. There's an ulterior motive there. There's
Yeah, we don't, and we still don't even know that. We haven't
yeah,
had that payoff yet. So
exactly. And like she's doing that because of what? You're disloyal to the Empire? Because that's in her head, that's what she's thinking. You're disloyal to the Empire,
yeah,
so erase your memory.
yeah, yeah. I'm interested. I think I don't think it was the Mandalorian at all. I would guess that somehow it was a plant, but like I said, I really do hope they open up with a scene where he's at. Oh, it would be funny if he was a Mandalorian, like you talked about before, and he was actually on Mandalore. Like that's where he's hiding out, and that's
Yeah.
where they end up going back to. That would be cool, depending on who took him. But I am interested to see. I think the Thrawn, obviously, they're probably. I think Thrawn still might get teased at the very end of this
Yeah.
season,
Not yeah.
to set up Ahsoka. But yeah, definitely, definitely Moff Gideon as the antagonist for the next 3 episodes. But is that X Fighter gonna think that it's all it was the Mandalorian, or is he actually? I think he's gonna be smart enough to realize that maybe they were set up, but maybe he goes back and says, "Hey, the Mandalorians did this, and now they have the New
I
Republic after him for
if
this
I were to
reason."
guess, I think his story arc is gonna end this season. He's probably gonna die.
Yeah,
I don't know how they're gonna do it. I think that he's gonna try and figure stuff out, and it's gonna lead to more of a, like that kind of like that Hydra. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
embedded in all the stuff. That's kind of like a part of Palpatine's contingencies plans.
yeah.
He had
Like you
multiple
think he's the
contingencies.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think he's the big, but he's not.
No, and that's the thing. Like Palpatine had so many contingencies that this was a part of it. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
to just try and gain power again. He was doing all kinds of stuff during that power vacuum of the Empire, trying to cease to exist. But then it
Yeah.
just kind of regrips itself and comes back. But I just want to see how this is going to go because there's so many good story arcs, especially Grand Admiral Thrawn. That his story, his tactician in the Empire was probably the greatest. I think that'll
Yeah.
be like one of the greater cameos of a character that comes in when you first see Thrawn and who he is. I mean, obviously he's going to have to be a British actor, right? And he's a
Yeah,
chiss,
yeah.
and he's going to have that blue skin. It's going to be awesome to see that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, but that pretty much wraps up that episode. So like we said, we both gave it 9s. Kind of like we talked about throughout too. There were so many payoffs that they finally had
Mhm.
from the first couple episodes. I know it was a slow roll, but personally, I really enjoyed the world building that they've done. I think they did a lot of good payoffs in this episode. So like I said, I definitely give it a 9. I know you gave it a 9 too. Anything final to say overall, or you all good?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I love the Anzellans. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Just seeing them
Yeah.
as they're fighting in the streets.
They'll peek their little head out.
Their little
That was
feet.
that was another little payout. They hit out in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
but
and
that
that-
will wrap. Go ahead.
And not even just like that part of it. I just think we're seeing a lot unfold in the Star Wars universe, and I think it's in the right hands. You know what I mean? Like just the way that they're doing the story. Yeah, that you might hit a speed bump where you don't like a certain thing, or the combat wasn't good. It wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, it's on the right track.
Well, they're giving us some meat.
Yeah.
They're finally, they're giving us some meat on the bones of actually having a bunch of different things and getting introduced to a bunch of different things, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of complaints are like Mando's not the main person in this like series anymore, but like we talked about, the Mandalorian could have a ton of different meanings. That could mean Din, that could mean Bo, that could mean Grogu. Like it's not just focused on just one of them,
Yeah.
It kind of shows you a bunch of different Mandalorian, which I think is completely fine.
Yeah, it's the Mandalorian. It's not like a single variant of it. It's not just
Yeah, it's
Din
not just the
Djarin.
Grogu or yeah.
They're showing how they're trying to grow. They're trying to grow their civilization back up from literally being incinerated by space Nazis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look 'em-
Which again can't be built overnight. So you kind of have to have these things, and you gotta just enjoy the ride of the season. So I think overall, I think it's picking up. I think by the end of this series, everyone's gonna say it was a really good series.
Yeah.
But you just gotta enjoy it for what it is. Not everything has to be action, action, action. And compared to other Star Wars stuff we've been getting, and just like Marvel, DC, all that kind of stuff, this has been like the one bright spot. So you definitely have to enjoy it while it's on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But other than that, I think that does it for us. Thank you guys for watching. As always, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. Take care.